Hi, everyone. Welcome to Unleash Her. I'm Roberta, in case you don't know me, and I want to thank you for coming today. So, I want to introduce you to a special guest. Her name is Eva. Hi, Eva. How are you?
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for having me here today. It's an honor to be here. So thank you. I'm
Aw,
very well, by the way. Yes.
thank you for coming. I appreciate it. So, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hmm. All right. Well, here I go. So my name is Eva, as you know. I am originally born and raised in Poland. I actually grew up in a little village back home. Now it's more like a town. Many years have passed. Though I feel like I'm still in my 20s. But yes, we moved to Canada actually in 1993. And it was very challenging time for me at that time because when I came to Canada, I didn't speak any English and I felt alone. I felt I just lost all my best friends all of a sudden. Teenage mind it does a lot of things, and so the struggle was real when I came to Canada for the first few years, I would say. And after that, fast forward, graduated. Then traveling kind of became my passion in my life. So in between school, in between jobs, I traveled and then got married at one point. Fast forward, I am here, and all of a sudden, life took me to a path I never actually expected. But when I made decision 3 years, 4 years ago almost now, to step into a new version of myself, it was just surprising how much unfolded and became a person I never thought I would be. And today I am a mindset coach, an author, and a mom, and yeah, things here in between artist and things as such. So that's me in a nutshell.
Aw, okay, thank you. Well,
You're
first of
welcome.
all, you speak very, very well. Your English is awesome.
Well, thank you. I try.
Yes. And so what was it? What did you say, 4 or 5 years ago that led you to a different journey in your life?
I think a lot of it was I was just fed up of being still deep down unhappy, though I was still living a good life. But there was a lot of things from my childhood, and part of it was moving to Canada. That in my mind, I was still going over like on autopilot of things that happened in the past, and a lot of things because I didn't study the personal development like I did started three years ago. I didn't know how to release those kind of thoughts. It's just we kept going on autopilot. But when my daughter was coming into my picture, all of a sudden I was like, look, time to clean up your mindset. You've traveled, you've got a lot of things, you use law of attraction to do a lot of things, but you didn't use it on your personal development. It was like a dialogue going inside. So it's like me talking to myself. It's like, now it's time to clean up your mindset. Never mind the rest of the world. You've done a lot of things, now it's time to clean up mindset so you can really feel free, live that mindset of freedom, and let go of this literally crap that doesn't serve you anymore. So that was my turning point. And it's funny because it was, I think, January of the year, I think 2021, as I was like, that's it. I want to change my life. And then within 3 months, Bob Proctor reappeared on one of the social media platforms. I think it was on Facebook. And it's like, hey, join us for the 5-day event on so and so. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Because I remember watching him in 2006 in The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. That's how it originally. But at that time, that's why I'm going back. That's when I started use a lot of the secret to attract traveling to my life and some stuff like that. Though I've seen Bob, Jack Canfield, and all these beautiful people, at that time I had different things I was looking forward to. So in 2021, when he appears, like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And I learn about his programs and things like that. So I enrolled into 1 year with Bob Proctor. And that's when I really was looking for change to really go in depth of my thoughts, my heart and soul, and everything. I'll tell you right now, it wasn't pretty the first 2 3 months when I went into that program, because you really had to work on yourself, like dig it up, like, I was there for a reason and I want to change, and that was the decision. I did, like, we all can read and write. So I was also looking for a coach, a mentor. Unfortunately, I didn't really get that with Bob Proctor as much as I thought I would. Although one of the ladies that was teaching one of the group sessions, she was really good. Forget her name right now. But anyhow, and then I stumbled upon Kathleen Cameron and Tony Robbins, and all of a sudden I had a lot of support and a beautiful community that helped me become the new version of myself.
Oh my goodness,
I
Eva, we
know
have like
when I
the
start
same
talking,
story.
when
No,
I start talking, I don't stop.
that's like my exact story. I've also watched The Secret for many, many years. And in 2021 is when I saw Bob. And that's when I joined his program for a year, just like you.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And oh, was it so difficult at first? Wow. So I can relate to everything you're saying.
Wow, no way. We are in the same program and I didn't even know it.
I know.
Yeah.
And that's when we both found Kathleen
Yes,
too.
August of that year, I call it, I got swept away by Kathleen because she was on one of his I don't know if it was a YouTube video or something. He was interviewing her. And I'm like, who's that lady? And then I got captured by her, energy and everything. So I was doing Bob Proctor coaching program. Then I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I wasn't. I was so into all this. I joined one of her programs, not one actually. Thinking into results through her, but Bob, and then millionaire and coaching. So I was doing all these things back to back. It was very immersive, and then on top of that, Tony Robbins, I joined his inner circle as well. So I was in a year of glory, you could say, because it was really a lot of work, but it was needed for my personal growth, transformation. Yeah, I'd say, like you said, it was hard at the beginning because I cried, I laughed, I hated myself, I loved myself all over again. Like, you go through this thing, and then when you try it, I was like, okay, let's see if this works what I'm doing. So actually, at one point, I took a little break, like, okay, 1 day, 2 day, and then all of a sudden these autopilots, I was like, I started coming back. I was like, oh, you need to go back. You need to continue studying. You really need to polish it up. So, but that was like a testing ground, right? And I was like, no, you're not healed yet. You need to go back and you need to learn Eva. You need to really shift your mindset. You need to work on yourself and these things before you can even start to think about helping anybody else. So I continued and got into a lot of uncomfortable things. I pushed myself. I got on Zoom calls. I got on a lot of different things. I was like, I don't know about this, but I kept going. And that's when the confidence started coming in. And because I didn't have it when I was growing up, girl, I used to be afraid of my own shadow when I was going to school, when I had to do presentations. That's what I call it.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, there
yeah.
was times that I like when I had to do presentations at school, I'm like, yeah, no, I ain't showing up tomorrow. I'm not gonna be there. No, I'll just take a zero, thank you. And off I went. And then of course I had to answer to my parents why my marks were so low in some of the areas. I'm like, well, I ran away from
Oh,
school. Yeah, I didn't want to do those presentations. And now it's like, look at us talking to each other across the world and many other people we talk to. Who would have thought, right?
I know. Who would have thought? It's but you start this journey and like you said, you can't go back,
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
you can't. Once you
Uh,
taste the goodness, you can't go back. No.
So what was the first things that started coming to you? Because You're a writer, you're an author, right?
I am now, I guess. It's I've always wanted to, so this goes back again from my travel days. When I circumnavigated the world in 2010, 2021, 2010, 2011, I had this desire to write my stories of my travel because I loved it so much, right? And plus other travels. But I walk through chapters and indigo stores. I'm like, wow, look at these books, like look at these authors. And for me, it was like a dream walking through those things. Like, look at these people. How did they do it? And then you just keep walking, dismiss it. And then because you think it's something unreachable at that time because you don't know enough about it, right? So it feels like a faraway dream. And so years went by. Then I went with World Vision Canada to El Salvador because I was really passionate about helping and learning. And, it was just a community and building homes. And I was like, wow, that was a great experience, even though people was like, you're crazy spending this money going. And I was like, and I'm like, I want to do it. And I did it. And then so when I went into personal development again, and this is the part of being a community, because honestly, nobody in my family studies personal development like I do. Um, Whatever they're doing in their awareness, right? But me, I've always wanted to be like, I was that curious kid always. Well, why is it like that? Or how come it's working like this? What about beyond that? Or you telling me this? Well, I want to go a step further. Like I was one of those, always wanted to go forward. I may have been one of those people in my family, they call them black sheep because I never do whatever anybody else does. But I was talking to somebody else. I'm like, you know what? I'm not a black sheep of the family. I'm a white sheep of the family. Who says, like I'm a white sheep? I go out there and I go do it. Like that doesn't mean I'm bad because it used to be perceived you're black sheep of the family. You're bad. You must be bad. I'm like, no, I'm the white sheep. I just go out there and do it. Whether somebody likes it or not, I go travel. I go skydiving, whatever, I'll go ziplining. Even though if you don't want to, that's okay. But that's what I want to do because I want to live life to the fullest. So then, with Kathleen's community, Bob's community, you run into people who doing the things you want to do, so you start expanding your circle, your awareness. And then I started talking to this lady who her name is Nikki. She's like, well, I'm in a collaboration book. I'm like, what's that? So she told me about all these things, and I said, okay, well, how do I get my story in the book? So we started talking, one thing led to another one. I was taking part in a collaboration book and I was like, this is awesome. I get to share my stories. I was a little bit scary at the beginning because I'm being vulnerable here. Like I'm sharing things from my childhood, from how I grew up, which for the most part, it was all in my head always. But here I am sharing things I never thought I would share publicly and or like, other things. So it opened up the possibilities. I went on and did the second book, and then I did another book, and I was like, I guess I'm an inspiration author because, because you can be an author, but what kind of author are you? And I was looking and reflecting, and I was like, I'm an inspiration author because through my stories, I tell you that there are so many things you can do, so many possibilities. Just go out there and do it. That's what it comes down to. If you want something badly, go out there and do it. And I reflect back because like anything I've ever wanted, I pretty much manifested, and I have it.
Oh, that you are an inspiration.
Well, thank you. We all are. We all have gifts inside of us. It's just a lot of times we don't use our gifts.
Right? True. Okay, so this whole traveling thing, you got to tell us, like, what are your favorite places?
Oh, you know what? You would think it would be the easiest question to answer, but it's
Oh,
probably one of the hardest.
okay.
Because, see, I've traveled for business, I've traveled for pleasure, I've traveled family vacations, solo vacations, you name it, I've done it. Um, And it really depends what you're looking for. If I'm looking for a basic holiday just to lay around on the beach and do nothing, believe me, Cayman Islands was probably top notch. I loved it there. I felt I was just like it was small enough, not too crowded at the time I went. Beautiful beaches, drove around the whole island. I'm done, I'm relaxing, right? If I'm looking for that. If I'm looking for a thrill vacation, well, geez, put yourself somewhere like Tunisia. You have no idea what the language, you don't know where you're going. Thank God for GPS on your phone, and you kind of live the thrill of not sure what's gonna happen next. But I did that in 24 hours when I was in Europe, and my boss gave me vacation. And so I decided to book a flight and go to Tunisia for 24 hours. And then when I come back, she's like, "Where'd you go, by the way? How'd you get these little souvenirs?" I said, "I went to Tunisia." She's like, "Say what?" I said, "Yeah, why not?" It was just spur of a moment. I wanted to go to the markets. I love markets because they're so busy, they're so full of stuff you've never seen in your life, right? So, but then if you're looking for maybe more classic or something like that, then Paris, or great food, Italy, right? So that's why I say it's a hard question in a sense that I have so many different favorites. Depends what you're looking for.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And
And then, yeah, go ahead.
so when did you leave? You grew up, you were born in Poland.
Yes.
Yes. And then you were there for until you were a teenager.
Teenager, about grade five,
Okay.
end of grade five. Yeah.
Have you gone back? Do you go back?
I did a few times, but then as my traveling really got the best of me, I of course wanted to explore other places, like like when I was working on the cruise ship, we went around the world. But then I did a lot of solo trips, like Peru, Greece. I did on my own for 2 weeks. What else? Like the different places, like Mexico a few times, of course. When I went to El Salvador, when we finished the 2 week building project there, I said, well, I'm already this far in Central America, why not cross the whole belt? So I went solo across Nicaragua, Honduras, Panama, and then flew back from Panama home. So usually when I'm in the area, I like to explore it as much as I can before going back. So like I take it to my advantage, right? Wherever I am. Yeah.
Yes. So you say that you're a little different than everyone in your family. So people aren't as adventurous as you?
Um,
Mm.
yeah, yeah, I think so because I take it to the next level, you could say. If somebody in my family traveled to two countries, I'll be like, well, yeah, I'll travel to like five. Or if they haven't done, they've only done a certain things, I'm like, well, I'm going skydiving today, or something like that. So I take it like to the next level. It's like being a writer. Nobody, really writes in my family. So I was like, well, why not be a writer? Like I like to explore different things. I don't like to be that, I don't know, doormat thing, just sitting there and watching life go by.
Yeah.
I take action.
Yes. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you have any other trips coming up soon?
Well, honestly, nothing solid planned, but that doesn't mean anything with me because I can book a trip like I did a few years back, 3 days prior, and I went to Peru all of a sudden. And my boss from AMA is like, wait, where are you going? Did you even plan this? I'm like, what's there to plan? I know where I want to go. I'll figure out on the way. She's like, oh, because I've always wanted to see Machu Picchu, right? So she said we had to use up our days. So I was like looking at the globe. I'm like, okay, I'll go there. And that's all it takes sometimes for me. But like one day I do want to go to Africa. I've been invited to go speak to Africa to some communities about writing, about inspiration, being a mindset coach. And I said, okay, I'm not dismissing the idea this year. And but I'll definitely welcome the idea next year. And the reason is I can't just get in a plane without some vaccination. I have to prepare. So that's why some things do take extra planning. You do have to, you do at some point have to look into things, requirements, things like that. So trips like that take a little bit more planning, as opposed to getting, going to Mexico like next week for a 1 week vacation doesn't take that much planning, right? For the most part. But like Africa, I like to visit one day. That's one of my bucket list dreams, to go there, have us go on a nice safari with my daughter and enjoy it. And in the meantime, visit the communities like we did in El Salvador with World Vision Canada. So that is a bigger trip I'm planning in the future. When it comes to the smaller things like over Christmas or something, usually I go to Dominican Republic or Mexico, right? So
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, I love it. So you are teaching your daughter how to be free.
Yes, she's 5 years old and they're full of energy. But you know what? As I was going to this program, I realized kids have that energy that we long for at our age. We sometimes forget to be that kid. So she was a great reminder when she was smaller, even to have that blissful mindset, to be that free child. And I watched that and I really like, absorbed in that energy of hers, because children are, they live so freely, and we forget to do that as we get older. We're so into the things we have to do, the 101 day list, and we do need to stop and embrace that. It's a great reminder when you're watching kids to go back into that spirit. After all, that's what we are, spirit, but we get so, wrapped up in the 3D world. It's unbelievable.
I know. I totally agree with you. Just looking through like a 5-year-old's eyes, seeing through her eyes has to be um so rewarding for you. You're like, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, let's go play in the puddles. You have to be that kid, that's what keeps you young, to be honest. It keeps your energy flowing, being that youthful spirit. Because we are that. We're just, as we get older, I see that a lot in the people. Oh, I'm 60 years old. Yeah, so you're not
Yeah.
dead. That's what I tell them. They're like, what? I said, you're not dead. Go out there, do things, sparkle your interest. Go out there, enjoy it. Forget whatever's happening. Just go be a kid again. Go be free.
I run into people my age and they're like, "Oh, this getting old thing." And I'm like, "Excuse me? We are young. What are you talking
Right.
about?
That's right. Yeah.
We're
And
just getting started."
exactly right. It's funny because sometimes I talk to people and I feel like I'm in my 20s. And they're like, well, I said, don't even go there. I'm in my
Yeah.
20s. That's where it's staying.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I
You
I am
gotta.
too. I'm right there with you. I love that. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. So what else? So you have the books and you coach others now too and help them like
Yes. Yeah. I went into this, I never saw myself doing that, but I also was in a career that wasn't fulfilling. Like, I mean, I started with being a travel agent, but then I travel a lot, so I was in and out. Then I had few jobs I didn't enjoy as much. They just brought a paycheck. And then I was like, even in personal development, I was like, it's time to change that too. Kind of left my job cold turkey, you could say. It took some time, but still, I was fighting that battle. Stay, go, stay, go. It's like, you know what? You're not happy there. Just move on. Go find some passion that you're passionate about. And eventually you have to follow your heart no matter how uncomfortable it may be, because we're so accustomed that norm, like we want to be in that safe bubble. But sometimes when you step out of it, you'll find something that even is so much more filling than what you think it is now. You know, like look at Kathleen Cameron. Like she was a nurse and she left that and she's doing things now that she never thought she would be doing, you know, to some extent, right? And life can be so much better, but we keep holding on to it because we don't think it will get better. But that's what suffocates us even more, you know. Like sometimes you just have to go and do it, go after, you know. And even what Bob Proctor, Kathleen, Tony, they say, yeah, if you really want something, go out there and get it done, and you can make anything possible, but you have to believe it, right? Yeah, if you halfway through give up, well, that's different, then because you set yourself up for that. So like I believe you, if you really want something, go out there, make that decision, do it, and you will succeed. Yeah, I see a lot of people going back and forth, like I used to too, you know, at some point. But once you cross that to the other side, it's go time. You can make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good. And then as you go along, you find these little things, right? That you're still maybe letting go of, or well, we're growing. We're here for growth and expansion.
That's right. Yeah, and you'll be learning and growing until your last day, because that's you know, things will happen. But it's like I find in personal development, it's you know, you train your mindset to do things now in a certain way. Like at the beginning, yeah, things were hard. Your mind was maybe resisting a little bit, things like that. But I found myself, I used the tools I was given. There was times I wanted to reprogram a specific thing. So I said, okay, what's going to help me with throughout the day to do that? So I used to set a watch, and every hour that watch would beep. And that was my reminder to like, hey, what were you doing in the last hour? Were you advancing forward in your journey, or were you stuck in the autopilot still? So that was for some time I did that until I noticed the shift has happened. So that was one of the tools I used. But it really depends what you're going after. You know, some people need that constant reminder in the morning to do gratitude until it becomes part of you. Then you really don't have to do that journaling because you automatically in that state already. And Kathleen talks about that because at the beginning she was like journaling and she was blue in the face. She's like, oh my God, I can't journal anymore. But because she shifted and her mindset's so strong now, she went from journaling every minute to like it's automatic now. You train your mindset to shift and stay in that, you know. And of course, as things come up, of course, you know, maybe a death of somebody close to you, or something else, or a new job, you're shifting, but now you know how to embrace these things, you know, with a positive mindset. So that's the difference. Like I used to constantly be on the same, it's like, oh, you know, negative, but also stuck in the past a lot, right? Like you have to live in the moment. You know, that's all there is now, the moment. Make the best of it. Yeah, we do forget sometimes. Oh, well, you know, it's good
Mhm.
to reflect, but then get out of it. Stay in the moment. Don't worry about the future because it hasn't happened. Because when you take care of the moment now, your future is just gonna be beautiful, you know? And a lot of people, and myself included in the past, used to always be going back. Well, what happened? How did it happen? Why did it happen? And beat myself up over things that I can no longer control because they are in the past. They're done, you know? So future is, you know, now. The moment's now, so you make the best use of it. That's my golden rule now.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. So you don't have to set your little timer on your clocks anymore.
No, I don't. But if there's something specific that, because like we said, we always learning. There's always something new we want, something else we want to explore. So if it's some new idea and you really want to get into it, yeah, you use those tools, whether it's journaling, to make it clear for yourself, whether it's setting that time. I say it really depends on the person and what you're going through at that time. For me, at one point it was journaling until I got really good at it. But say there's a new idea that comes out and it's like, oh, I really want that. Maybe journaling will make it clearer for me. So I will journal for some time until that vision, that imagination is clear. and it stands firmly in your imagination. But if I need to reset my certain habits, of course, I have to, bring in a new habit to get rid of the old one. So that's some of the tools I've used in the past. Like Bob Proctor has the daily, weekly, monthly sheets, and I did them all.
Yeah.
Yeah. The hard work we had to put into this. But it was a
Yes.
good hard work. Like I don't even want to call it hard work. But for explanation reasons, yeah, it's kind of rebuilding, or building a new image of yourself, new identity, making it better, polishing it out, right?
That is absolutely it. Yeah, and finding your authentic self. That's what this is about too, because for the longest time, I really didn't know who I was or what I wanted. And I think that changes as time goes by too, don't you think?
It does. Instead of flowing like, a lot of people nowadays just go with the flow. Yeah, it's good to stop and say, are those my true beliefs? Is this who I really am? Or am I just following everybody else to please them? Or something like that. So it does take time. Like, we all go through the journey, right? Our own journeys.
Yeah. There's now I get a little quiet once I'm faced with something and I just kind of like let it sit. I'm not like straining to try to figure some things out. I just let it kind of come to me and I'm like, "Oh."
Yeah, and it's good to do that. Yeah, because you're really, going within.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you let
Yeah.
it come to you instead of chasing it to come to you.
Yeah. And we're so distracted. So, do you love nature? Is that where you get your peaceful mindfulness?
For the most part, yes. Except I'm not a big fan of winter, the cold. So usually at that time it would be like closely, by a fireplace or cozy up with a cup of tea or coffee and find my solitude looking outside. It's like, okay, you stay there cold. I'm just gonna be here. But in the summertime, of course, I love whenever I get a chance, go to the ocean, water. I love the water. Like I feel like it's just I don't know, it's just so relaxing for me, but nature in general is relaxing for me. Going for walks and things like that, meditation, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, same. Yeah. So do you still have books that you read, like personal development books that you're reading?
Every day.
What are you reading now?
I take a point, to be honest with you, I take a point every day. And it is proven that every day, if you read for 20 minutes something new or even go back to something you read 20 years ago, it is really good for your brain, for your thoughts, because it takes you out from where you are and you're learning. You're continuing learning. So you give your brain cells something new that it hasn't seen instead of being again on that autopilot. Okay, wake up, do the same thing. It's kind of timing out, learning something new, going back to. At the moment, believe it or not, we are reading Kathleen's book, Becoming
Oh,
the One, rereading it for the third time, I think. Yeah, yeah. So
yes.
that's one. But then, of course, I do pull out random books. Sometimes you feel drawn to something, so then I pull out like maybe The Secret again because believe it or not, like when I first read The Secret, I was like, okay, certain things clicked, the others didn't. But now that I read it, I'm like, oh my goodness, it was there all along, but my awareness wasn't into that specific level, right? So now you go back so many years later, you're like, oh, that totally makes sense now.
I know.
Yeah,
It blows my mind.
yeah, exactly. So,
Yes. I'm rereading Living Untethered.
okay.
And so oh, I was like,
Honestly,
have I read this before?
I haven't finished that book. I started it.
Right?
Yeah.
I know. So I thought, okay, it was calling me. I pulled it back out and I'm loving it.
Yeah, it's a great book. I do have to make a point one day to
Mm,
finish it. But
yes.
sometimes, like you said, you get pulled away to read something because that's exactly what you need at a specific time because it's divine timing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Oh, thank you. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much
You're welcome.
for
The talk.
sharing. No, it was great. Thank you.
You're very
I love
welcome.
it. We've been in these programs together, but we haven't been able to talk like this. So this
I
was
know. Small world, hey, but still far. But I always follow you on the social media, so I'm like, I know what she's up to,
right.
more or less.
Same.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. And it's so beautiful to watch you grow and
Yeah,
just keep
thank you. And
growing.
same with you. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
just, really taking our life to the next level, I would say, because it has so much to offer, and who knows where we'll be in next year. People ask me sometimes, what are you planning for next year? I said, I honestly, aside from what I'm doing, I don't know, but I know it'll be in divine's timing, whatever comes, and it'll just get better and better because we now know how to, intentionally do things. We're not don't have to second guess things. I mean, things happen, but at the same time, we know how to respond to things differently. We know how to embrace it. We grow in this together. We're part of like amazing communities that together we inspire one another, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And thank you so much for coming on today.
It's been
Yeah.
fun. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. This was so good. And, we'll have all of your information for everyone so they can check out some more of your books that you have and your podcast and everything else. So thank you again. I appreciate you.
You're welcome so much. And thank you again for having me. It's been a blast. And hope we can do this again sometime.
Absolutely. Yes. Oh, and thank you everyone for joining us today. I know you found this like as motivational as I did. So, um thanks for joining us and reach out to Eva. She's amazing. Check her out. Go follow her. And if anyone also wants to check out my VIP coaching, give me a call and let's have a chat because there's a beautiful world out there. And I'm going to tell you, we should all be living our very best. So, and I'd like to leave my podcast with a little thing that my grandmother used to do because I guess she didn't like to say goodbye. So I like to leave just like my grandma did and say, so long, see you later.
Bye.